Hello, long time no see. It's my first video of the year, 2022. Technically, this is my wrap up of what I read in January and February. I recorded a whole other video at the end of January to do my January wrap up, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I was too lazy to edit it, and now suddenly it's March. So I'm going to combine them. I thought about inserting the footage, but to be honest, a lot of what I read in January I wasn't super excited about, so I'm going to just touch on it briefly, do a kind of general overview of my winter reading. I'm not going to touch on everything because not everything was worth talking about, I don't think. Sorry. I read some some advanced readers copies of some books that I didn't really enjoy, so I'm not going to talk about those. And I also read a couple books by people I know, and I feel weird reviewing them. So I'm not going to talk about those right now. If you catch my drift, if the books by people I know were good, I would talk about them, but so anyway, yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about is Kudos by Rachel Cusk. This is the last book in the Outline trilogy. I read this in January. I really enjoy the Outline trilogy. I think it's really well done. I really enjoy Rachel Cusk's writing. This one was definitely my least favorite of the trilogy. I think the second one, Transit, was my favorite. Mostly because it's the one that seemed to have the most concise points to be made. And yeah, Kudos was good. In Kudos, our protagonist Vaye is at a writing convention, conference sort of thing, somewhere in Europe. We don't know where. There's no specifics given. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's the classic, just a bunch of conversations, all just vibes, no plot. But it was good. Then I read To Paradise by Hanya and Yanagihara. This one wasn't good. I did not like this at all. So this basically is 3 different novels all shoved into one. And it wasn't good. I understood what she was trying to do, but it wasn't successful. The having the same character names repeated through the 3 different stories I found very confusing because there was no kind of thematic ties to each of those characters that shared names. She was just recycling names to be look, these 3 stories belong together, right? She has a weird obsession with writing about gay men and their suffering. There's a whole discourse about this right now. But yeah, it wasn't good. It was so freaking long. It was 800 pages. Not very eventful. The last section was post-apocalyptic and awful and was so long. It was at least half of it. Anyway, I read better things after this, so it was okay. Speaking of better things that I read, Akwaeke Emezi, I read Freshwater, their first novel, and I loved this. This was incredible. The way that they can take kind of Nigerian folklore and apply it to kind of Western ideas of gender and mental health. It was incredible. It was stunning. I don't even know how to describe this book, except you need to read it, because they are doing things with the writing that I've never seen before. Yeah, so that's a quick review, but I gave it 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Please read Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. It was incredible. And then moving on to some feel-good things, I read all 4 volumes of Heartstopper, which is a graphic novel. This is the cutest freaking thing I've ever read. It's about just these 2 kids in high school falling in love. Very gay, very cute. Alice Oseman, who wrote it, has such a great way of kind of tackling issues in a way that's honest, but also like not too triggering for anyone who might be reading it, and gives great advice and resources if you are curious or concerned about any of the issues brought up in this story. But for the most part, it's just cute and feel good and lovely. And I loved all 4 volumes. They're great. It gets a bit more serious in the later ones, but still so lighthearted the whole way through. Okay, those were some of my like January highlights. I read a few others in January, but I'm going to skip past them. I'm going to move on to February, and I read Vladimir by Julia May Jonas. This is one that a lot of people are talking about. I really enjoyed Vladimir. This is about a professor at a university whose husband is also a professor and gets involved in kind of a sexual misconduct scandal involving a student. And it's all about kind of the expectation that is put on the wife to kind of condemn his actions, even though their relationship is a bit more unconventional. She knew about some things that were going on already. And it's kind of about her kind of being the expectation that's put on her to condemn him. And it was a really interesting read. Some characters make some choices. But it was fun, it was juicy, it was quick. I really enjoyed it. Very academic, very like metafiction. She's writing a book the whole time. Talks about it a lot. Yeah. Then I read Real Life by Brandon Taylor, finally. I've been putting this one off for so long. I finally read it. I really enjoyed it. I listened to the audiobook mostly for this one. This is about a queer black man kind of in university, and it's kind of takes place over, I think it was a weekend of him kind of contemplating whether he should drop out of school or not. And it was really interesting. There's really interesting relationships between characters. Brandon Taylor has such distinct writing that I really enjoyed. I felt really comfortable kind of slipping back into his writing after really enjoying his short story collection last year. But yeah, I was really happy with this one. Another one that I really enjoyed was Priestdaddy by Patricia Lockwood. I really liked her book, No One Is Talking About This, last year. I thought she did really interesting things with her fiction. I was really excited to read her memoir, and let me tell you, this was the funniest book I have ever read. Probably, I think in my life, this is the funniest book I've ever read. I was so impressed. It was so funny. Basically, this follows, it kind of goes through her whole life story, but is focused on a year when she and her husband had to move back in with her parents, and her dad is a Catholic priest. So it's very, religious heavy, a lot about her relationship with religion and her family's relationship with religion and her relationship with her family. It was really good. I loved it. If you have left a religious upbringing, read this book. Anyone who was religious at one point and is maybe a bit more, secular now, check it out. It's really good. Also really good, 5 stars to Pure Color by Sheila Heti, the one everyone is talking about. Of course, I'm going to talk about it too. It's a Canadian author. It's a big deal in the literary community right now, and this book was incredible. I've started listening to Motherhood, the audiobook, and I think I need to read an actual, physical copy of the book, because I guess there's, photos and stuff in the text that I'm going to be missing on audio. So, but moving on, back to Pure Color. This book was so good. I don't even know how to describe this one either. It was abstract. It was this abstract view of humanity as a whole, but focused on one character. Really interesting concepts being brought up. Very abstract, very kind of meta. A big focus on art and creation, but also death and grief and what kind of we owe each other as humans. I thought it was really, really incredible. It was a quick read. I read it in one sitting. Yeah, loved it. Read it. It's new. It's out there. Sheila Heti, she's done it. Another one that lots of people have been talking about is I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness by Vaye Watkins. This one was okay. This was some kind of auto-fiction by Vaye Watkins. Big focus on postpartum depression and also her family, which had kind of a very interesting life. Her dad was involved with Charles Manson. And, yeah, I liked it. I really liked the sections of the book that were rooted in the present. I didn't really enjoy the backstory very much. It reminded me a lot of The Glass Castle, and I did not like The Glass Castle at all, so maybe I'm a little bit biased there. But the stuff rooted in the present about her dealing with her postpartum depression and deciding if she wants to leave her husband, that was interesting to me. Her friends that she meets in like California and Nevada, that was interesting to me. Her just driving around the desert vibes, enjoyed it. The childhood stuff, not so much. So I gave this 3 out of 5. But it was great literary fiction, autofiction. I'm really interested in autofiction right now. So I'm happy to have read it. It just, was for me. Okay, there's a couple other books that I read that I'm going to skip over, and I'm going to go right to the last book I finished, The Great Hunt, the second book of the Wheel of Time series. I'm slowly making my way through this series, feeling very high fantasy, very adventure, very action-packed, high fantasy life. This was good. I enjoyed it. It's so slow. This is more of the same of wandering around in the woods. But there was a bit more kind of themed action going on in this one. There were some interesting sequences. I really enjoyed a part where they had to kind of like sneak into a party. I enjoyed that. But yeah, this is a great adventure. They need to find this horn because the Dark One is coming. And the horn, they need it. That's really all I can tell you. It's very high fantasy. There's lots going on, lots of intricate details and lore being built. From what I understand, the series really finds its stride at the 4th book. So the first 3 books are kind of all set up. I'm going to try to read the 3rd one this month so we can get to the good stuff. But I did really enjoy this book. There's lots of characters. I'm still kind of getting my footing on who they all are, what they all do, what the goal is, what's going on in this, fantasy world. But yeah, Wheel of Time. Fantasy. I wish I was better at analyzing the fantasy books. Really all of them. I don't know. By the time it gets to the end of the month, I don't really remember the books anymore. I can be like I remember if I liked them or not. But the actual plot details are fuzzy again. They come back to me if I pick up the book again or if I read the sequel. It all rushes back. But when I'm talking about it in the recap, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm sorry I took such a long break from YouTube. I'm making more videos now. I'm back. The slump is over. I'm reading a bunch. I've already read 3 books in March, and it is March 2nd. So I'm going to have a lot to talk about later. I'm going to do a new bookshelf tour because my bookshelf has changed. The situation is different. There's a new bookshelf tour coming. I'm going to finally finish the last Shadowhunters book so I can upload that reading vlog that I've been working on for literally a year now. Yeah, I'm going to make more videos. Let me know what you want to see. I like the idea of once a week just sitting and talking to the camera about something book-related or otherwise, probably mostly book-related. If I'm doing it weekly, I can go more in-depth in what I'm currently reading, so I like that idea. But we're going to stick to some themes, too. I know this sounds so boring. Just bear with me. I'm really excited about making more videos, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and I'll see you soon.